Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm kinda going crazy these days because of one of my goals for 2023, and that is to buy half of the books I read. So if I read 100 books, I'll buy 50, and I'm really struggling. But firstly, thanks to all of you that joined me on my reading sprints last weekend. I had a blast, and it's seldom that I get to read so much in such a short time period. I really felt like it was sort of an effective read, even though that was not the idea. It was only for me to sit down with a physical book and enjoy it and interact with you. So if you're interested in joining new reading sprints, please comment below and I'll schedule a new live stream. Thought doing this video might be a bit therapeutic for me, so here we go. And I'll leave links down below to where I found this tag. I don't remember at the moment, but I'll be sure to put it down below. The first question is, where do you buy your books from? And mainly I've been buying my books thrifted, so about 75% I would assume comes from a thrift store or a flea market or anything along those lines. The main reason is probably that it's really cheap, it saves the environment, and it's all about the hunt. You never know what you're going to find. It's not often I feel like I have to read the latest novels. Of course you won't find the latest editions at a thrift store or at a flea market, but that doesn't really bother me. If I'm buying new books, I would probably go to Platekompaniet, which is an online store for Nordics or Scandinavia, I guess. Here they had this pocket deal, so you could get 3 pocket books for really cheap and you didn't have to pay for shipping. But now that pocket deal is changed, so I pretty much stopped shopping there. If they didn't have the book I was looking for there, I usually go with Book Depository, where I'm also an affiliate, and they have a wider selection, so I always find what I'm looking for, except from Nordic literature, or the most niche Nordic literature. I also visit a lot of physical bookstores, but I never really buy anything. It's expensive and often they don't have the books that I'm looking for, so that's the reason. Question number 2 is, do you ever pre-order books, and if so, do you do this in store or online? I've never really done this, and I don't ever think this will happen. In order for this to happen, I will have to form a relationship with an author that is so exciting that I cannot wait. If that day comes, I will be kind of happy, because that means that I've been looking forward to a book so much that I pre-order it, but yeah, I don't see that happening anytime soon. Do you guys pre-order books? If so, what does it take for you to pre-order a book? Please comment below. Question number 3 is, on average, how many books do you buy in a month? And last year it was about 15 to 20 a month, and again most of them thrifted, but now it's about 5. Or I have to keep it under 5, I guess, so 4 or 5. And it's kind of horrible. And number 4, do you use your local library? And I've been there a couple of times just to breathe in the air and get a feel of the atmosphere. Oslo has this gigantic new library, so everyone goes to check it out, and I've been one of those. But I've never really loaned a book through the library. But this month I actually got my library card and downloaded the Libby app, so I'm well on my way to become a digital library user. I have several books on hold, so we're getting there. And number 5, and if so, how many books do you borrow at a time? Well, I've put 5 books on hold, and those are mainly audiobooks, and I'm just waiting for those to appear on my Libby app. Unfortunately, I thought that I could read my Libby books on my Kindle, but that's not available outside of the US anymore, and I'm sure there are some tricks to get hold of those books on my Kindle, but I've not been motivated enough. The next question is kind of weird, and it's, what's your opinion on library books? And of course, the library is one of the greatest inventions ever. The only bad thing is that I don't use it, because the sensible thing would be to borrow books at the library and just hand them back over to the library after you're done. But we don't. I don't. I know many of you don't either. But there is one thing I think of when I think about library books, and it's books like these, with no dust cover, and it's not the paperback, it's just been printed directly on the hardback. And I don't mind this, because if you have kids, they will destroy all of your dust jackets, and they might just rip up your paperbacks. So this will actually stay green for longer and look prettier in my shelf. But I do not like the touch and feel, because I often feel like I have to wash my hands after I've picked this one up. But I find these to be kinda useful. And the next one is, how do you feel about charity shops or second-hand books? And obviously I love them. I like thinking about having books that people have read, and I do actually enjoy when people have written things in the books and I know nothing about the person, but now I feel like I know something if the person has underlined a word or just written a short message to themselves. I just like it. Also, I can just wander around in thrift stores for hours. It's just something about the thrill of not knowing what you'll find. Number 8 is, do you keep your read and TBR pile together on the same bookshelf or not? And behind me are my shelves, and on the top are my books that I've read, and on the bottom is my TBR, basically. It's sort of like watching a progress bar, so the books I've read just keep on pushing my TBR out of the way, sort of. And each time I'm trying to decide on which books to read next, I put many of them on my table and then talk loudly to myself to see if this is something for me. And then I put them back in my shelf, so it's an even race next time. Then we have, do you plan to read all the books that you own? This is a yes and no for me. I'm planning on reading all the books I have in my shelf now, but as the years go by, I have to have some choices along the way. So when you die, you probably have like 5 books that you haven't read, or 1,000. It's impossible to read all the books you have in your shelf, isn't it? I guess there are people out there that decided to suddenly go to the library and only use the library, and then they have a shelf with books they've read. And I very much respect that, but it's not going to work for me. Or maybe at some point I will stop buying books, but it's so much fun, so I really doubt it. The next question is, what do you do with books that you own that you feel you will never read or felt that you didn't enjoy? I keep them around until I don't have enough shelf space to keep them, and then I donate. And that is the next question. Have you ever donated books? And the answer is all the time. So I've done some on-hauling last year, and all those books go to this one bookshelf at this shopping mall where you can get free books and then donate. And I'm really liking that vibe. So many people are standing around that shelf each time I pass it, and it brings me a lot of joy. I think many people have found new favorite books there at least. And I've also found a whole lot of books there through the years. I also like the concept of that being sort of a local thing, so I only donate to that specific place. I could have donated to a whole lot of other places, but I like the feeling of being near my donate shelf. Number 12, have you ever been on a book buying ban? And yes, last year I was on a 3-month book buying ban, which felt great actually. But that was only because I bought so many books and I felt like I didn't do anything but book hauling last year. So that was kind of great. I think I needed that break. But after that book buying ban, I sort of lost it and went to a whole lot of flea markets. I could have foreseen that happening because the flea markets sort of started when my book ban was over, and it's a very short time period that the flea markets are here in Norway, but there are a lot of them, so you can probably visit like 10 each weekend, and that is a problem for me and the people around me. And the last question is, do you feel that you buy too many books? Last year, of course, I felt like I bought way too many books. This year, I feel like I haven't bought enough books. The struggle is real, but I have to say it feels kind of meaningless when you buy like 30 books at the flea market. You feel empty inside afterwards because you really don't need to buy 30 books at a time. So there is a process I have to go through at this stage. I do feel that the more books I actually read, the more books I can buy, and that's a very good feeling. It has this good energy to it, so I will keep on reading and then buy more books next year. At this point, I do not feel like I'm going to make it, but I'm really going to try. But it's the most difficult goal I've set for myself when it comes to reading and books this year. So this was my book buying tag. I don't know about you, do you feel like you buy too many books? Please comment below, and I'd love to see some numbers. Also, I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Thank you for watching.